What is an NFT? You've probably seen loads of things online about NFTs. You've seen people buying NFTs for an insane amount of money. For example, you might have seen Jack Dorsey, the CEO of Twitter, selling his first tweet ever for over $2.9 million, which is absolutely insane. Or you may have even seen this one, the people selling an NFT for $69 million. It just gets even more crazier. Even the NBA wants to get involved. They've actually taken live moments of a basketball game and turned them into what they call an NBA Top Shot, and they're selling that as an NFT. In fact, a recent highlight of LeBron James, that sold for $208,000. Again, absolutely insane numbers. The most popular one you probably would have saw would have been this Nyan cat right here, which sold for $600,000. This was actually a GIF instead of an image, but again, insane numbers. Now, to understand what all of this is about and why people are spending so much money on these things, you need to understand these three letters, which are NFT. NFTs are way more than just random JPEGs or GIFs on the internet. It's more to do with human psychology and how we value things, which, due to technology, is always changing. A technology that a lot of people are excited about and believe is going to change the world. Whilst, on the other hand, some people do not share this view. A lot of people believe this whole crypto NFT thing is a bubble and it's just waiting to burst, as all the computers used to power these things are having a negative impact on the environment. It's really crazy, as it's basically all of these things combined together, and I'm here to explain it to you in a simple way without using all of those fancy buzzwords which you would see online, such as blockchain, ledger, crypto art, or even the word NFT in itself, as, let's be honest, if you're completely new to this space, all of these words can be very overwhelming. So, NFT stands for non-fungible token. To understand exactly what this means, let's break the words down and focus on the middle word, which is fungible. If you carry out a Google search for the word fungible, you are going to see it says, of goods contracted for without an individual specimen being specified, which in layman's terms basically means replaceable by another identical item, or mutually interchangeable. The main takeaway here is that the word fungible basically means replaceable. However, of course, the crypto industry love to use these fancy words instead, but basically, fungible equals replaceable. Meaning, non-fungible equals non-replaceable. You can't replace it. It is unique. There is only one of them. For example, the Mona Lisa painting. There is only one original painting and it can't be replaced once it's lost or destroyed. Let me give you an example using something I feel very strong about, which is my first ever suit. Let's imagine that you want to buy a blue suit. So you go onto your favorite retailer's website and you see a blue suit for $100. If you was to purchase this suit for $100, you don't care which specific suit they send you. They're literally going to make thousands and thousands of these suits and send them to all of the stores and all of the warehouses. The suit is fungible. It is replaceable. As long as you get one that's similar to the one you saw on the website, you don't really care which one you get. They are fungible. They are interchangeable. However, let's talk about one unique suit that has been with me for a very long time. This is my original blue suit. Here's a picture of me wearing it, sipping on my tea because, of course, I'm British. However, for the purpose of this video, let's use this cool animated suit instead of using this image. But basically, this suit is really important to me. It has emotional value to me. It's the suit I wore when I closed my first client ever for my marketing agency. This suit has great significance to me, and because of that, it's very valuable, it's very scarce, there is only one of them. This specific suit is not replaceable. If I went back to that retailer to order another blue suit, yes, there will be some online for $100, however, they won't be this exact one. Funny enough, if my friend was to actually go ahead and sell this suit without me knowing, I would literally pay double that price, $200, just to get it back, as it's my original suit. I have an emotional connection with this suit. This suit is non-fungible. Now, everything in our economy is either one or the other. It's either fungible or non-fungible. A bag of pasta, for example, that is fungible. If you go to the shop to buy a bag of pasta, you don't care which bag you get as long as it's a bag of pasta. The pasta is fungible. The famous Mona Lisa painting, well, there's only one original in the world, so it's non-fungible. It can't be replaced. And because of this, as you probably guessed, non-fungible items are worth way more than fungible items. So now we know what the NF in NFT means, which means there is only one last part to cover, which is the T. Now, bear with me as this is the part which typically confuses most people. However, we are going to go through another animation so you can easily understand this. The T in NFT stands for token, which, yes, as you guessed it, is another fancy crypto buzzword. To understand what a token is, we have to understand the core functionality of the blockchain. Let's imagine that I want to buy 5 apples from my friend called Kelly. She charges me $10 for these apples. So I pull out my bank card, I swipe it in her little payment terminal machine, and as soon as I swipe my card, a message is sent to my bank, which says, hey, Josh wants to spend $10 on apples, and that $10, it needs to go to Kelly's bank. Which is pretty much how these private banks work. They document every transaction that comes in and out of your bank account, and then at the end of the day, you will have a tally which will show you how much money you have left in your account once all of these transactions have come out. So I spent $10 on these 5 apples, that will then be deducted from my balance and added onto Kelly's balance. Now literally, your money is just a number on someone's screen. Meaning we put a lot of trust in these banks to make sure there are no errors in these transactions that they are documenting every day. However, sometimes things do go wrong. We've all heard loads of things in the past about how Wall Street have made massive errors, costing some companies up to $900 million, all because of a small error. There are plenty more, but we've all seen these things happen before. As the internet has grown, people started to wonder if it's possible to do this same thing of sending money from one person to another person without the need for banks. And the outcome is a very clear concept called the blockchain, which basically does the same thing which banks are doing currently right now. However, instead of these banks keeping all these transactions private, meaning no one can verify them and mistakes can also be covered up, the blockchain does all of this in public and records all the transactions on the internet. So let's take a look at the same example in the crypto world now and see how it works. So Kelly charges me 10 Bitcoin for 5 apples. I take out my card and I swipe it on her machine. Then instead of my card trying to contact my private bank to verify this transaction, it goes onto this public record, which we call the ledger, where there are loads of computers who are keeping track of every single transaction, literally every single millisecond. If I literally don't have 10 Bitcoin to pay for these 5 apples, then all of these computers, which are keeping track of every transaction, they are going to notice a discrepancy and turn around and say, no, decline. Josh, you don't have 10 Bitcoins, buddy. And we know that because we've accurately documented every transaction on the blockchain and everyone else can see it and they can all verify this too. If I do have the 10 Bitcoin, then all of these computers looking at the public record will be able to see this and they'll approve the transaction. And this will then be documented in the public record for everyone else to see. Now it's clear to everyone that Kelly has 10 Bitcoin. The main takeaway here is that the group verifies the legitimacy of every transaction by keeping an eye on every transaction on the blockchain, not by relying on a private bank. At this point, you're probably thinking, great, I know what NF means, and I also know what a token is. However, what does any of this have to do with a cat gift selling for $600,000? Well, what we've looked at so far is all to do with money and currencies, right? Let's imagine that one day you wake up and you're looking at the ledger, and you see a transaction that says a Malaysian businessman wants to give $2.9 million to Jack Dorsey in exchange for a little token or digital certificate that says the tweet is now owned by the Malaysian businessman. The only thing the blockchain cares about is, does this Malaysian businessman have $2.9 million? So they check all the previous transactions on the ledger, they see yes he has the money, so they go ahead and approve the transaction. And now that transaction is written in a public record that is unalterable and everyone can see it. Everyone can now see that that Malaysian businessman owns that tweet. The token has been transferred to someone else. This is exactly what an NFT is. A non-fungible token. And like most things in life, when it comes to valuing something, having an entire group of people validate that it's real increases the value of that thing. It's crazy, right? As soon as us humans have enough of what we need, such as the basics, food, water, heating, and so on, we start to put value on other things. Although, to be honest, the art world has been doing this for years. This is why NFTs started off with just being JPEGs, as it's more understandable and relatable as to how people determine value in the current world as we know it. Some people can literally look at a painting and feel an emotional connection which is worth a lot of money to them, which is exactly why they'll pay a lot of money to go ahead and actually own that painting. However, what's good to know is that NFTs are not just limited to artwork, they can be applied to literally anything. An NFT is literally just digital verified ownership. I mean, even musicians are selling their music as NFTs now, and they're making millions of dollars. NFTs can be applied to anything, as like I just said, it is just digital verified ownership. I hope this video has demystified the whole NFT world and it all makes sense. It did take me a lot of time to produce this one specific video, a lot of going back and forth with the animator. However, I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you got tons of value out of it, and I'll see you in the next one.